Welcome to episode 68 of what is now called the Epilogue Lady podcast. Yes, I'm owning it. Hubby has been calling me the Epilogue Lady since I started this podcast, and since one of the things I wanted to do in 2022 was to up my game on YouTube, I have split my channel into two. I have this podcast that is now called the Epilogue Lady, and I have a side thing called Bente's Bag of Holding. I've uploaded one episode of that, and the point of Bente's Bag of Holding, by the way, is a D&D thing. It's a bag that you can put everything and anything in and just keep on adding stuff without it filling up. And Bente's Bag of Holding is going to be just that. Everything and anything. If we're going somewhere, I'll maybe put up a blog with a road trip, and if you want, I'll put up tutorials. If you're wondering how I do things, I'll put up tutorials. It's for things that may not be fiber related, and hopefully that means I can talk a bit less about other stuff on the podcast, unless you want me to keep on going, because I have a tendency of going out on tangents, hence the Epilogue Lady. And I think it will work better for me. I don't have any schedule for the Bente's Bag of Holding episodes. There could be 2 or 3 between 2 regular podcasts. You could have 2 weeks between podcasts without me uploading anything for Bente's Bag of Holding. If I have something to say, I'll upload it there. And I'm thinking I might do an episode on mental health. I might do an episode on weight loss. But I won't talk about those things on the podcast, because I want the podcast to be as inclusive as possible. So I'm going to try to only talk about fiber-related stuff on the podcast. And while we're talking about Bente's Bag of Holding, I will be doing a Q&A there. And if you have any questions for me, you could, of course, post them in the comments below this video. You could also send them to me via email, arcticcraftsbybente@gmail.com. You can also send them to me on Instagram or on Ravelry. And when I feel like I have enough questions, or a couple of questions that requires long answers, I'll do an episode about that. Hubby might also show up in Bente's Bag of Holding at some point. So that was it about the big changes too. Of course, the channel is still Arctic Crafts. So if you search for Arctic Crafts on YouTube, you'll find my channel. And on my channel, there are 2 different things to watch. I have a special playlist for Bente's Bag of Holding and one for the podcast. And I think that's what I was going to talk about at the beginning of the episode. I could do a little talk about I just realized my show notes were almost out of reach, so I just had to get those. And if you're wondering what that is, yes, that is hand sanitizer. Not pretty, but we're in the age of COVID, so it's standing there. It's the one I took with me to the Christmas village, because you have to have hand sanitizer in your booth. And I just dropped it there when I got back, and it's been there ever since, because that trolley, or what should I call that, was somewhere else during Christmas, because that was where we had our Christmas tree. And I didn't realize you could see that. I was decorating all nice and pretty over here, and then I see you can see that in the background. Forever the professional, yes. Let's see. I have a couple of mouths to talk to you about. I haven't got any mouths running at the moment. I haven't started the Arctic Crafts year-long make-along again because there wasn't a lot of entries, and I might start it again at some point. But at the moment there will be no Arctic Crafts year-long make-along. What I am going to do instead is, for my other make-alongs, you get 2 entries if you use my yarn. So that's the change. So that's how I'm sort of doing something extra for people using my yarn. You get 2 entries in my other make-alongs if you use my yarn. And I have 2 make-alongs planned, and both of them are going to be back next year. One of them already has been run once, and the other one is here for the first time this year. And the first of these make-alongs starts May 1st. And it's called the Tea Time make-along. And you probably understand what I'm talking about. May 1st, starting to get into spring. You may start to get into spring before then, but I'm starting April 1st. I'm already talking rubbish. I'm starting April 1st, of course. And what the rules are there? Any tee, short-sleeved sweaters. It doesn't have to be a pattern for a short-sleeved sweater. If you knit, I'm wearing a So Faded, by the way, by Andrea Mowry. And I don't remember the yarns off the top of my head, but if you check my project page for this, the yarns are listed. Back to what I'm going to school. If you, for example, knit So Faded, and you don't knit the sleeves, you stop here and don't knit sleeves on it. It's a short sleeved So Faded, so it doesn't have to be a pattern for a tee necessarily. Any short sleeved sweater or tank top, and 2 entries if you use my yarn. But that's not until May 1st. April 1st. I'm rusty, can you tell? The last time I did a podcast was in November. So that's the make-along starting April 1st. And because, as usual, unless you're over 50% done, whips are allowed. So if you want to cast on and start a short-sleeved sweater before then, just make sure you're not more than 50% done, and then you can join the make-along. And the other make-along that's starting June 1st is the Arctic Summer of Socks. Just like last year, any pair of socks you finish between June 1st and August 31st, you can put that in there. And whips are allowed if you have a single sock hanging around and you have the second sock syndrome. Some of us have, including me. So you can use that to as an excuse to finish the second sock if you have single socks lying around. And that starts June 1st. And the same goes there. If you use my yarn, you get 2 entries. I haven't got prices ready for any of these make-alongs. Hopefully I will have prices ready when the time comes. I have 1 prize, and I'm going to use that for the tea time make-along. But that's it really. So, but I still have some time to get those together. Then I'm finished with the admin. So then I can start talking about knitting. And the first finished object I'm going to show you, I actually had to confiscate last night. I told hubby, you can't wear your new sweater to work tomorrow because I'm going to show it on the podcast. So he sort of, okay, it's only for tomorrow, yes. And I said, of course, I only need it tomorrow. And this is a sweater you haven't seen me talk about even, because I started this December. Maybe I mentioned it. I think I maybe mentioned it in my vlogmas, I'm not sure. But this is it. And this is the festive sweater knit along. Festive sweater knit along yoke or something by Skeindeer. And this was supposed to be released for Christmas in 2021, and then it got postponed, and it's not coming until Christmas this year. But because she had been talking about it and teased about it a lot, she decided, okay, so I'm going to release it for a short period of time and start a knit along. And I got the pattern, and the beauty about this pattern is that she had lots of different motifs you could choose from, and I chose non-Christmassy motifs for a hubby, so that he can wear it all season and not only for December. And he really loves it, and he's been wearing it every day since I finished it. And he's a long gentleman, so this is a long sweater, but I finished it in record time because it was so much fun knitting an all over colorwork sweater again. I've been missing that because I actually knit faster when I knit colorwork, and especially when it's like this, because the pattern repeats aren't that long, so I just want to finish this, and then I just want to finish that. It's like knitting stripy socks. And the yarn was also new to me. It's one of the yarns that Skeindeer suggested in her pattern, and it's this yarn. And these are the colors I used. And it's called Navia, and it's made in I think it's the Faroe Islands. And the colors are, this is 262 and this is 248. And this yarn, I really love this yarn. It's really lovely to knit with, and it's so soft and squishy after you soak it. And because I love knitting that sweater so much, I'm going to knit my son a Fair Isle sweater with 7 different colors in this yarn. I bought the yarn from hobby.com, and they're out of stock of the light grey, and that's what I want to use for the main color in my son's sweater. I'll put up a picture of the sweater here so you can see what it looks like. It's really pretty. It's knit flat, and there's color work, and there's sometimes 3 colors in the same row, so I'm not knitting it flat. I'm steeking it. I'm knitting the whole thing in the round all the way up to the neck, and I'm steeking the arms as well. So that's what I'm doing for my son, and the sweater is called Finch, and I'll put up the designer down here because I completely got brain. My brain is mush at the moment, and I can't speak English anymore either, it seems. So that was my festive yoke sweater knit along by Skeindeer. And the second finished object, I suddenly realized I have another finished object I'm going to show you, so I'm just going to pause and go get it. And I'm back. The finished object, I forgot about this because I finished it a long time ago. This is a skirt, and the pattern is by Selma, Incesulu. I think that's how she pronounces her last name. from Little Big Knits. And I test knit this. So I finished it a long time ago, but she has now released the pattern. Or it's not a pattern as such, it's more of a recipe. Because you can knit this skirt in any size and with any yarn. Because she has just put up a recipe where you just knit a swatch and find the fabric you like. Remember, because this is a skirt, you have to use quite a tight gauge because you don't want it to sag. And you then put in your numbers and it tells you how to get the perfect fit. And this, I've worn this a lot because I love this skirt. I bought yarn to knit the second one. I haven't started it yet, but I'm going to soon. And I've knit this in stripes because I've used leftovers. I didn't have enough for the skirt in any color, so I just knit stripes. This grey is left over from a sweater I knit for hubby, so this yarn is 5 or 6, what am I saying? This yarn is 9 years old. Because I started the sweater for hubby the first autumn after I moved here, so I started it in 2012. And I finished it last year. And the mustard is from a cardigan I knit for myself, and the black was just something I had lying around. The mustard and the black is Drops Karisma, and the grey tweedy yarn is Sandnes Smart. So that's my West Village skirt by Little Big Knits. And I love this thing. And you can tell I've worn it because even though I've knit this at the tight gauge, you can tell where my butt has been. But I love this skirt because I prefer to wear wool skirts and wool tights in winter instead of pants because I feel it's warmer. And so I worn this a lot, and I'm going to knit myself another one in a mauve color I bought, so that's going to be one color. So that is also an FO, but I finished it a long time ago, but I haven't been able to show you until now because now she's released the pattern. And the last FO I'm going to show you is something you haven't seen before, but that's not so impressive because I haven't podcasted since November. And Arctic Advent, I wasn't talking a lot about knitting. But as I was shopping with hobby.com, I bought this. I love the color and I love the tweed neps in all the colors of the rainbow. As you can see, this is called Tweed Delight. There's 85% wool, 10% acrylic and 5% viscose. I bet you the viscose is the neps. So I bought 10 balls of this. It was cheap, and I bought 10 balls of it because I wanted to knit a Felix cardigan. I've already knit a Felix sweater, and I wanted to knit the cardigan. So this is the Felix cardigan by Amy Christoffers, and this thing I wore I wore this when I went to get my booster shot because it's so practical wearing a cardigan, because you can just open the cardigan, pull up your t-shirt and finished. And I knit this sort of to wear it at home as well, just to have something to throw on. I have loads of yarn left. I think I have 5 balls left. So I used 5 balls for the cardigan. Is that? I think I only used 5. And I'm not sure what to use the rest of the yarn for, but I'm going to look. I might knit myself a cowl or something with the leftovers, or I don't think I can use. I can buy more in a different color and knit something color work. But I'm going to find a use for the leftovers. I also bought a sweater quantity. This I should do this in show and tell, but as I was talking about hobby.com and the yarn I bought there, I can show you this as well. This is called Colorina, and as you can tell, that's mostly acrylic. It's 80% acrylic and 20% wool. And it's sort of, it's got long color changes. It feels sort of almost like a single ply, even though it's 2 plies. And I'm not sure what to knit with this yarn, but because of the color changes, I should knit something without a lot of patterning, I think. So I haven't decided on what to use this yarn for yet, but I might knit myself another On the Beach, because I love the On the Beach sweater by Isabel Kramer. I've knit myself 2 already, one with short sleeves, one with long sleeves. I did frog the one with short sleeves last year. Not because I didn't like it, but because it was too big for me. It was too big when I finished it. And now that I've lost, I think it's 26 kilos at the moment. Not sure what that is in pounds. I can put it down here. Everything is too big for me. All my sweaters are too big for me. So I don't mind an oversized sweater, but when it looks like a tent. So those I've knit to be oversized when I knit them are all too big for me now. So how many of them I frog to repurpose the yarn, I'm not sure. I have to go through my knitted sweaters and make some decisions. So that was my FOs. And when it comes to whips, I only have one active whip. 2022 is turning out to sort of be the year of the sweaters for me. I have several pairs of socks on the needles, but those are practically hibernating. I may cast on a new pair of socks because it's I have loads of fun sock yarn that I would like to use, and all the pairs of socks that are on the needles at the moment are patterned socks, so that's not mindless. And I have decided maybe not to start a new sweater as soon as I finish the one I'm doing at the moment. So I'm going to show you my only active whip, and I'm using this as a project bag. This is the box the Advent came in. It's the Cozy and Warm Advent from Beehive Yarns, because that's the thing I'm using for the sweater. Because I have the yarn in here, because it's the Advent calendar I'm using. And what I'm knitting is the Stripes pullover by Andrea Mowry. And I finished the body. And all 24 colors are in here. So it's maybe a bit longer than I would have knitted otherwise, but I wanted to have all 24 colors. And I couldn't have the stripes narrower than this, because I wanted all the colors to show properly. And the ribbing at the bottom is only 10 rounds, because all the stripes are 8 rounds. And I didn't want the ribbing to be too much longer than the rest. I've started the sleeves, and I knit the sleeves sort of at the same time, because I want to use up the yarn. So when I finished color on this side, I knit the same color on the other side. And this is going to be a beautiful sweater. As you can tell, it's not negative ease, it's about 1 inch of positive ease. And the pattern is knit for more ease than that. But this is because I actually did a mistake when I started, because I was so eager to start this. By the way, this is the December club from Corner of Craft, Hannah of Corner of Craft. And because it's an advent calendar, I'm using a Christmas stitch marker. So sue me. I know it's January. What was I saying? I did a mistake when I started this, because I knit a swatch. and I got gauge, and I merrily started the sweater. And then my friend Sue in Canada also wanted to knit one of these, and she asked me about something about the gauge, and then I realized, oops, there are 2 gauges listed in the pattern, one for the ribbing and one for the stockinette. And I had used the gauge for the ribbing when I did the swatch. So I think it was supposed to be 21 or 22 stitches per 10 centimeters for the stockinette, and I had 25 to 26 stitches per inch. So the first thing I did when I realized, because I was down here when I realized, I did the maths. I did the numbers and figured I'm going to get about an inch of positive ease, but to be sure I put a wire in here and I tried it on. And it fits, even though it looks really tiny. It fits, but it's going to have only 1 inch of positive ease. But actually I don't mind, because I really wanted a fitted sweater. And it's probably going to go out another inch when I block it, so about 2 inches of positive ease. And I can't wait to start wearing this, because it's merino, and I know from experience that I can wear merino, fingering 4-ply merino, I can wear that indoors. I can use this as a sweater when it's finished, and it's really, really pretty. And I know what, if I get another advent calendar this year, I know what to use it for. I want to knit another sweater. But I'm doing my own advent. Arctic Crafts is doing an advent this year. I'm going to show you and this is what the box looks like. As I have been winding them up, I have put the numbers on, so I know what order to do them in. And I'm doing Arctic Crafts, I'm doing an advent this year, and I'm going to dye up the yarn throughout the year, so everything is ready to ship. It's kind of scary to do it that way, because I can't be certain that I'll sell all of them. But I want to do it that way, so I don't overwork myself at the end during the summer, because I don't want to spend all summer dyeing minis. So this is why I'm doing it like this. So I'm going to have one for Halloween, 13 days of Halloween I'm calling it. That's going to be in the shop by September 1st, ready to ship. And I'm also going to do 12 days of Christmas, and that's going to be in the shop by November 1st, ready to ship. And I'm going to order the yarn rather soon. I haven't really decided yet if I'm going to do merino or Polldale. I still have to decide on that. I'm not going to offer both, because obviously I'm going to dye up the yarn beforehand. So it's either merino or Polldale, and I haven't decided yet. So that was my only active whip. And I might cast on something new today, because I want to knit. I want to cast on a mindless pair of socks in a fun, colorful yarn. I need the colors. I haven't been dyeing anything much. I've had 2 dye days in the new year. I'm sort of using January to plan what this year is going to entail in the shop. I've dyed up. I'm going to show you what I dyed, because this is in the shop. And this is my Valentine's for 2022. This is the yarn. The one of them is a colorway that's in the shop. It's called Pink Pixie. And the other one is a one-of-a-kind that I've made for this bundle. And yarn is inspired by this basket, and this basket is made by one of hubby's co-workers, really talented local lady, and she made these for me. And there's also a stitch marker in the bundle. This heart is also part of the bundle. I'm going to hold my hand behind it so you can see it properly. So it's also a heart with gold on it, because the basket has gold on it. And this is in the shop at the moment. There's only a few of them. And this is Valentine's 2022. I did the Valentine's last year as well, together with Gibby Rousseau's. But this year I went local to find a collaboration partner. So that's in the shop. I have dyed a bit more, but it's only a couple of colorways, so I'm saving those for my next update in 2 weeks. I'm going to spend the rest of January testing stuff, trying new colorways, and dyeing a bit for the shop. I wanted to try something new for the new year. I'm not going to say that much about it because I'm not sure if it's going to work. So I'm not going to tell you about it until I've tried it out. And one more thing about the Valentines. As you can tell, it's 2 50-gram skeins this time. And that means you actually can get 2 pairs of socks out of this. One red with the yellow heels and toes, and one yellow with or gold with red and pink heels and toes. Or you can use them together in a shawl. But I decided to do two 50-gram skeins this time. So that's it for Valentine's. And I was thinking about doing a make-along for Valentine's, but I decided against it. I'm going to have enough. I'm going to do an extra price for each of the other make-alongs instead of having a Valentine's make-along. So that's it for the fiber-related stuff. I only have show and tell left. And I've already shown you some of the yarn I bought because I started talking about it, so I showed you the yarn. I have ordered yarn in the new year from the Rusty Ferret, mostly because I wanted to support her. There's not going to be a lot of yarn purchasing this year. I'm hoping to do quite a bit of stash busting, and I've been thinking about knitting myself a worsted sweater holding fingering yarn together. I have loads and loads of single skeins of sock yarn and variegated self-striping. Self-striping I'm only going to use for socks, but I have lots of variegated sock yarn, and I'm thinking about doing a color-blocked marled sweater. I could try one of Stephen West's marl patterns, but I can knit any sweater and just marl it by using different colors, self-striping. Sorry, not self-striping, variegated. I could also knit more sweaters using fading. I haven't decided, but I'm going to try to stash bust as much as possible this year. I can't afford to buy a lot of yarn either, so I think that's going to work out for the best. So what I have left to show you is some of the stuff I got for Christmas from my friend Sue in Canada. I got more than this, but I'm only showing you the fiber-related stuff. She sent me loads of stuff, but I'm only going to show you this. She sent me a notions pouch with a Christmas theme, and this is from Art by Anna. And the label is on the inside. And she sent me 2 skeins of yarn. I love the name of this. I don't know if you can tell. Pew Pew Dye Dye Dye. And the colorway name is Heckin. And it's neons. Sue knows me. This is a really plush fingering weight, and it says it's 420 yards for 115 grams, so it's a heavy fingering. And it's 100% merino, so this is not sock yarn. Not sure what to do with it. It's a bit too neon-y even for me to use for a hat. So I haven't decided yet. And my camera doesn't do this. Okay, so that helped a bit. You can tell how neon it is, I think. And the other, again, she knows me. And this is from Comfy Cozy Knits. And it's called Dance Party. And this is also 150 grams, 15 grams, and 420 yards. Self-striping sock yarn in neon colors. So, really fun. But I'm not going to cast this on. I'm going to go look through my self-striping stash and pick out something of the old yarn, because I have lots of beautiful self-striping sock yarn that I should be knitting up. And I have, Sue has been nice enough to make some sock snakes for me. I've sent her quite a few balls of my commercial sock yarn, and she has made sock snakes for me. But I have a couple of balls that I'm not sending to Sue because I want to hand knit them. Some colorways and some colors are too much fun to knit. So I don't want to just do the snakes. That might sound crazy to you, but I know that sometimes if I'm having a rough period, I crave colors, and that's why I'm enjoying the stripes sweater as much as I do, because there's a lot of colors. I change colors all the time. So that's why I'm going to pick out a ball of commercial. I already know. I'm picturing the ball in my head. I seem to remember that it's an opal and it's rainbow colored. So I might cast that on just because I want the colors. So that's what I'm going to do, I suppose. And then I haven't got a lot of other things to talk about. Even though if I start an epilogue now, I'll feel much better about it, because the podcast has changed the name to The Epilogue Lady. So I'm allowed an epilogue. The weather has turned here. It was cold and we had quite a lot of snow, but then Storm Gyda arrived. Gyda is an Old Norse name. It's a woman's name. And we had above 0 temperatures, and most of it came down as rain. And we had spent all yesterday just waiting for a blackout because there was thunder and lightning, and it was really windy. So Storm Gyda, of course it's windy, but we managed to get through it without losing our power. I couldn't have dyed the yarn yesterday if I wanted to, because I was picturing if I started the dyeing process and then the power cut out in the middle of it, I would just have to cross my fingers and hope that the yarn would absorb the color even in cold water. It probably would. It would just take an eternity. So this week I haven't been dyeing at all. Me and hubby were supposed to go out tonight for a a shrimp buffet. One of the local pubs do that once a week. Every Thursday they have all-you-can-eat shrimp with all the trimmings. But they cancelled because of the COVID restrictions. All pubs and restaurants aren't allowed to serve alcohol. I think the thought process is that if people are drunk, they don't care about the social distancing. But even places where you get to eat, they don't do anything special. I think they haven't closed, but they have just a few staff in to cut their losses, and we have to postpone until another time. But we have started the tradition of going out for pizza every payday. So next Friday we'll probably go out for pizza. And that's a different pub. It's a bit of a longer drive, but it's worth it because they have an Italian baker that works with them every weekend to make proper Italian pizza. And it's amazing. So I'm going to cut it there. Just another epilogue. I'm really living up to the name, aren't I? Well, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Be nice to each other. And I'll see you soon.